My father is the father of my 2 kids.
Hello guys, Sugar Plum here again, and this is Confess with Sugar. You guys already know how we do it here, no need for much talks. So I have our guest here and I'm going to open the floor for her to start talking. Please um don't use um don't use any name. You can use he, they, she, him once you're making your confessions, right? So
Okay.
you can start talking.
My father is the father of my 2 kids. Yeah. My father is responsible for all the times that I've ever been pregnant. This is the first time I'll be saying this to anyone or anywhere. This has been a secret that I've had to live with since I was a child. My mom is late, but even before she died, she didn't get the chance to know this secret.
Okay.
My father started molesting me since I was a child. I could say since I was a baby. He always called me his wife, and I felt good with it. I was his only child. So I felt like, you know how girl children are always with their fathers?
Yes.
So I was so close to mine, and I really loved him. And he usually called me his wife. And sometimes my mom throws jokes around, trying to be funny and saying you are your father's second wife and all. And it felt cool. It felt really, really cute. I loved it. Until my father started touching me. At first, I thought I was a child. I was young. I thought it was normal. Until he started going beyond father-daughter touches. And when I started understanding where he was going, I asked him a few questions. And he said it was a normal thing to do between a wife and the husband. And since I was his wife, so it was normal for us to do that.
What?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. You can take your time. You can absolutely take your time, my dear.
It was a lot. Every night, or I could say every time that my father and I had a chance to be alone in the house, it was a moment for him to molest me. At every slightest opportunity, he made sure he abused me. I had a teddy bear that I loved so much growing up. It was a gift from my father. I loved it so much, and it was like my favorite person after my parent. So sometimes when I try to make noise, or when I try to tell my father that I was going to tell my mom, he would pick up my teddy bear and stab it multiple times, and told me that it was the same thing he was going to do to my mother if I ever told her. He knew how much I loved this teddy bear as much as I loved my mom. So I wouldn't want my mom to go through what my bear goes through right in front of me. So I kept quiet. It went on and on. Years after years. I come home every day with fears in my heart.
Sorry. Sorry. It's okay. See, if you need a moment, we can cut the cameras and you take a moment first.
It's fine. It's okay. My home became a place that I never wanted to go back to. Every child's home is their resting place, I guess. Mine was a place that I never wanted to go back to. I always wish the day never ends. I always wish I never had to go back home. Don't let me bore you. Fast forward to when I was 18, I lost my mom. She had this recurring illness that I don't want to talk about. So we lost her to it. She died and I was left with my father. Few months after we buried my mom, I got pregnant for my father. I was lucky to have finished secondary school at the time. So yeah, like you guessed, it was end of school for me. I became pregnant for my father and he was so excited about it.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. He said maybe I was meant to give him all the children that my lazy mother could not give him. Yeah, those were his words. So I had my first child for my father. Everything I had access to, or maybe everything every other teenager had access to, I didn't have access to them. I couldn't go out. I couldn't have friends. I couldn't talk to anybody. All I do was stay in the house, nurse my father's children, clean, become his sex slave. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
Okay. If you need a moment, you can call the cameras.
That's
Are
fine.
you sure? Sure.
It's okay. Six months after I had my first child, I became pregnant again. I became pregnant.
Sorry.
And my father did not feel sorry for me. He didn't feel remorseful. He said it was the right thing to do. He said I was going to have 5 children for him.
Jesus.
I was so scared. I was scared to my bones. I was just a teenager.
God, what kind of evil is going on in this world?
At that point, I thought it was time to leave him and, take my child and run away from him and don't ever get to see him again. I thought it was time to be free. Despite being pregnant, I thought I could do it. Then one day, I planned that I was going to run away when he goes to work. I don't know how he find out about my plans. Maybe because I had packed up my things. Then he took my child and said he was going to take her away from me and I would never get the chance to see her again if I leave.
Sorry. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to
Thank
cry.
you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
It's okay. Stop shaking. Look at the way you're shaking. It's okay. You are safe here. Your father is not here. You're okay.
Thank you. So I couldn't go. I stayed back. I resumed wife duties. I did everything on this bed. And so I had my second child. I thought the madness would stop or even reduced. But immediately after I had my second child, few weeks after, my father started again. He didn't even give me the chance to heal. He was so mean to me. At a point, I started wondering if he was truly my father.
Because I'm wondering the same thing.
I didn't even get the chance to ask my mom. This man was so mean to me. He didn't give me the chance to heal. He started molesting me again. Sometimes when I say no to him, I get the beating of my life. I get dragged. I get forced. Sometimes my children will cry with me. He was trying to get me pregnant again. He wanted me to have a third child. I did everything I could. I started taking pills. Even if I didn't have money, I made sure I spare some from the food money I get to buy drugs. I started taking drugs. I didn't care about what they would do to my system. I didn't want to get pregnant again. I didn't want to have another child. I didn't want to.
You are fine. It's okay. I promise you. Please, please. I understand what you're feeling. Just pull yourself together, please. 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 Just pull yourself together. Hmm?
I'll try. I went through hell. You can't imagine what I went through. Raising two children at,
It's okay.
at a very young age with a very heartless man, doubling as my father and as my husband and as my children's grandfather. It was sometimes he doesn't feel me. He said he only cared about his children and also his grandchildren. I had to go through all of this. I'm sorry, I'll take a bit of your time. I hope it's fine.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. You can
Thank
take
you.
how long you want. It's okay. It's fine.
Thank you.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I started taking pills and I started fighting it. I didn't want to get pregnant. Because if I ever get pregnant again, I was going to just end my life. I wouldn't be able to pull through having another child for this wicked man. So I didn't get pregnant and we kept going. I was already looking older than my age. It was a lot. So one day I left home with my children. I left. I thought I had freedom at last. I thought I was going to cope no matter how hard. If it was me alone, I would have coped. But these children,
They require a lot.
We slept under the bridge that night, and I couldn't bear to see my children go through what they went through that night. I couldn't bear to.
Sorry.
I couldn't. They didn't have anything to eat that day. They were exposed to something I can't say here. So I had to go back the next day. I didn't have anybody. No one at all. Mind you, anytime my mother's family asks him who the father of my children are and why I keep getting pregnant under his watch, he lied to them that I am wayward, that I instead of going to school, I chose to follow men, and I got pregnant, and that I was a mess, and that he said so many things about me to them, so they gave up on me. They didn't even want to listen to me. So they were not an option. I couldn't go to them. So I went back home. I got home that day. I can't begin to say what I went through. He did a lot to me. He forced me to do so many things that day. And he said it was punishment for leaving the house and exposing his children to everything they went through. So he started locking me inside. After that day, he said I was going to do it again. So he locks me inside, and I only get to go outside the house with him. He buys everything. He goes to the market himself. I can't go anywhere. He locks the house and goes away with the keys. My children were not going to school. He said he can't let me run away with them the second time. So I was living like a slave in my own father's house. And he kept molesting me. In fact, it became worse. I started to regret why I even tried to run away. I should have stayed. I should have just stayed. After like a year, after the incident, God finally heard my prayers. Guess what? This man died.
Thank God.
He died, and it was a lot of relief. All this while, I had wished that he died in replacement of my mom. When he died, I was the happiest person. I could not explain how happy I was. He died on his way to work. He was involved in an accident, and he died instantly.
That's better.
He was a wicked man. He didn't deserve a second chance.
He doesn't.
So God took him.
God did a good job.
And ever since, I have been living with the trauma of having 2 children from my father. How do I tell my children that their grandfather is also their father? How?
You don't need to tell them. You don't need to. Right? I cannot say that I understand the pain you're going through, because I've never been in your shoes and I've never gone through the same thing. But I want to tell you that you are loved. Your children is loved. I know you said this is the first time you're talking about it. And the time when you called me and the way you sounded, I was like, let me even hear what you have to say. It's not your fault. I don't want you to ever in your life blame yourself for what happened to you. It's not your fault. It's not your children's fault. It's not your mother's fault. It's his fault. He decided to be a devil. And at I'm happy that he's gone.
So
I'm equally happy that he's gone. You understand? And I know that because of what happened, you're obviously isolated. It's only going to be you and your children. And your mom's family, of course, is torn with them. But just keep this to yourself. Let it just be with me and my audience that have heard it. Because the way I don't know how they are going to treat you after finding out the real truth. And again, you don't have to have that conversation with your kids now. Just let them be until they are of age to have that conversation. You're a strong girl. Not everybody will go through what you went through and still come out alive, healthy, and still of sane mind. It didn't push you into doing drugs. It didn't push you into doing anything. You are still a good mother. Okay? But I want to tell you that from now on, you and your kids are not going to be alone anymore. You have gained us as a family. I'm constantly going to check on you. Are you still living in the same house where you were staying with your father?
it was his house.
Yeah, so first of all, we need to take you out of that place because that house has a lot of ugly memories. And everything that you went through happened in that house. So first of all, you need to move to another place. Get a breath of fresh air. Start all over again. It has happened, it has happened. But I'm glad that you were able to speak up. And that's the first journey to your healing process. You will be fine. You will be okay. It's going to take a long time. But with time, with each passing day, you get better and better and better. You're not going to forget. I'm not telling you that you will forget. I know that you will feel better. You feel better as time goes on. Again, life is full of challenges. And as a young girl, you have no business going through what you went through. And going through it in the hands of your most trusted person is another thing. You understand? But we'll try. We'll make it work. Okay? Don't worry, you'll be fine.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome, baby. So, guys, I think that's it. I don't have what else to say. So, see you guys on my next episode.